5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Radio Faces number 5. Aaron Malhotra, along with Louis Malia, Matt Chapin.
How's it going, everyone?
What up?
What's going on?
You know.
Little housekeeping to take care of before we
sure.
start today's podcast.
Intro.
We have a new member of the family, not an on-air talent, but someone who is going to be helping us with some of the technology stuff and hopefully for some of the promotion stuff. AJ, and I've already forgot his last name.
It's Finney.
Finney?
But yeah, he doesn't expect you to
It's
remember
AJ.
that.
As far as we're
Yeah.
concerned, it's AJ.
Yo, AJ, you got MySpace?
Yeah.
AJ
He wants no shout-outs whatsoever. Like, he does not want to
we should
talk.
Google- we
He's
should
really
Google
the
him.
man behind the curtain.
AJ prides himself on being a guy that does not want to be on this podcast. He's going to be helping us with some of the stuff that we need help with. Today's been case in point of how we need help
Oh,
with some
man.
of the back end
Too
stuff.
bad you're mentioned. We're bringing you down with us.
Either way, welcome AJ to the Radio Faces family. We are in the thick of the NHL playoffs. I think the podcast is going to focus a lot on that.
Crazy playoffs.
How can you
Great.
not?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Pittsburgh Phillies series has ended. I could have watched 100 games of that.
They wouldn't have made 100 games. They would have all been dead after about 30.
That's definitely true.
I love that 30 is the realistic number.
Yeah.
100's crazy.
That's
Claude
the
Giroux would have
over-under,
50
yeah.
points.
Yeah, Claude Giroux would have easily
Maybe
had 50
more.
points
Well,
in
definitely
30
more
games.
base he's on.
Little self-promotion here, but I did call Vancouver would get knocked out at the end of last week's podcast.
Yeah, yeah,
And they're
yeah.
out. I think Chapin called them to win the cup, but I called them out first.
Yeah.
Come on, our entire
That's why
pool is like devastated because of them. Like these two teams going out have just crippled office
Well,
pools
Pittsburgh,
all
I think,
over
more
the
than
world.
Vancouver.
Say what you want about Vancouver, but there is something good that came out of the nonsense that was that 5 games. Their defenseman Kevin Bieksa was interviewed by a guy from I think Fox Sports. Nothing unnormal about that or abnormal about that. He thought he was Ryan Kessler. The interview thought he was interviewing Ryan Kessler. Kevin Bieksa, being the good guy that he is, went along with it.
Yeah.
This is epic. I don't know if anyone has heard this, and we're not sure if you guys have. So we have a little clip here. The 3 of us have heard it.
Yeah, I
it's
can
I've
absolutely
heard it a
this
couple
is
times,
just
yeah.
a beauty.
So again, Bieksa said pretending to be Kessler on an interview with a guy who clearly does not know a lot about hockey. Here's a small insert of that clip.
If you guys lose in Game 5 on that ice, how are you going to be able to walk around the streets of Vancouver?
Yeah, but you know what? Like I said, I'm an American and I like playing in the States. So, you know, the fans in Canada are great, but, you know, this is where the real hockey fans are, in my opinion. So,
As you can tell, absolute nonsense, priding himself on being American and a forward and whatever. If you didn't hear, if you want to hear more, I should say.
Yeah, it's what,
Sure,
about 3
good
minutes?
for Bieksa, man. I think that's awesome. We just totally went along with it.
Yeah, you know what? If you don't know who the players you're interviewing, you absolutely deserve
Why
to get
not?
that
You
done
should
to you.
definitely have fun. They get enough shit from the media to begin with. Why not just go around with somebody who has no idea who you actually are?
And yes, he did do this after the Canucks won Game 4. This wasn't one after their losses. You question his heart at that point, but it was after they won. And I know afterwards he also criticized the interviewers saying that clown should be fired, this and that. But
He should. Completely.
He should, but I
He's
think he
a-
might have crossed the line at that
Come
point.
on. Well, I don't know. That's debatable. If you went into your job and just all of a
Oh, yeah,
sudden
sure. Obviously, the guy,
absolutely
maybe he's
butchered
a
it.
baseball reporter that they threw in hockey because they needed someone. Who knows?
if you do want to hear the whole
Voice
thing,
of reason, Lou. Sorry.
Yeah.
Aaron.
No,
Try
no,
it.
no, not at all. And I do recommend you do listen to it. It's on YouTube. I think it's something, or just Google Bieksa imitating Kessler, something along the lines. You'll find it's about 3
An
minutes.
interview. Yeah.
Some actual hockey stuff to get to. We are down to, I believe, just a couple series we don't know now. Tonight, Phoenix eliminated Chicago. We have a couple Game 7s left, and we have still a Game 6 and 7, or Game 6 for sure of New Jersey, Florida, maybe a Game 7. Either this or that's going to focus mostly on playoff hockey, and let's begin that right now. And for those who are listening for the first time, just quickly, I throw out a topic. It has 2 or more options, and we hope it promotes some debate. The first one, Vancouver, as we were just talking about, out in 5 games. Will their coach, Alain Vigneault, be fired this summer? Yes or no?
No. It's always easy to make the coach a scapegoat.
Not should he, will
no,
he?
No, I don't think
Okay.
he will. I don't think there's any way, there's definitely a way because somebody's always the fall guy, but he's had such a good record. You know, they finished first, except for 1 year in 5th in the past 6 years. These guys are. He's been a solid coach. He's brought players along like Bieksa and Burrows, Edler. These guys.
you
He's
say no?
developed. Yeah, no, I say no.
He will not be fired.
I don't think he'll be fired, but I don't think he'll be back as a Vancouver coach. How's that? I think that.
Where's he gonna go?
I think he's going to end up being the head coach of Montreal. I think he's the type of guy they look for, and I think that Montreal will ask permission to speak to him, and I think he'll want to go to
He
Montreal.
resigns.
No, I think that it'll be one of those things
You
where
can't trade coaches.
absolutely you can. If he says I would rather do Montreal,
So for the record, your answer is he will be traded.
well,
This is
think,
insanity.
I think if
Sports
Montreal,
Interaction is offering 5,000 to 1 on that.
no, but what I'm saying is that I think if Montreal wants him and asks permission to speak to him, I think he would rather coach in Montreal.
Okay, so
So
Chapin
either-
says no, and Lou says
don't-
I have no fucking clue. But
I think he'll end up in Montreal. I don't know. If he does, we'll go back on this, and I was a genius.
sticking with the if you call it Lenny Jovan gets traded, you're a genius.
So pretty
I-
much that. And if
100%.
Pierre Maguire ends up the GM, I'm just calling the whole front office.
Wow. And
Buddy,
that's
apply
people
for a
listening on the
job. That's
podcast.
crazy.
Second, this or that. Keeping with the Canuck theme. Who will be the starting goalie next year in Game 1 for the regular season? Schneider or Luongo?
Schneider. It has to be. Luongo is. I think he's worn out his welcome there, and I mean, how can you not put Schneider in net after what he did in the playoffs for you? I mean, it's a small sample, but the guy was unreal.
Lou
So.
says Schneider's the starting goalie next
I
year?
think Luongo. I think it's going to be hard to ship his 10 years, his 5.3. I don't think too many teams are going to take that on. Vancouver doesn't have a lot of money to offer, and they have a few guys coming off the cap. The cap goes up. I think Schneider's value is as high as it is right now. I think you get the most for whatever guy that you can get the most for, and I think that Luongo will be the starting goalie next year.
That's a good take on it, too. I mean, a lot of people will answer that question saying who should be, but you're right. Luongo's tough to ship out.
Schneider will get tons more value, there's no doubt, but I just think that they would give Luongo away for free to get rid of that 10 years they got left on him.
Schneider,
At
if
five-
anyone's wondering, is an RFA in the summer, so
Yeah.
he needs a contract to be signed. The one thing that could pull Schneider away is if someone gives him an offer sheet that Vancouver just can't match.
Sure.
And I'd
Sure.
like to see that.
I still think Luongo. Yeah.
Offer sheets like that don't usually happen, but we can hope.
5.3 for a goalie that's still played majority of the year,
And his
one-
contract goes
It's a
the
six.
end of
It's a
time.
six.
Yeah, sure.
It's a
End
6
of,
mil
end
cap
of time.
hit,
But
though.
5.3
Is the salary? I'm pretty sure the
no,
cap.
5.3 is the cap.
Cap,
Anyways,
Chapin's right.
is he right?
The actual salary is 10 mil this year. It's front loaded, which is appealing to teams.
Oh wow.
for sure. That's true.
Next one, and sort of still again with the Vancouver theme. We had two. The Cup favorite finals, according to Vegas, were Pittsburgh versus Vancouver in the finals. Who should be more disappointed that they're out in the first round, Vancouver or Pittsburgh?
I think Vancouver. If it's any indication of these questions that we've asked, they were probably the more likely favorites. Well, and that's not the truth. Pittsburgh was the likely favorite, but Vancouver was there last year. They've been in the playoffs the past few years. I think that they have a lot of explaining to do in that city. I think definitely Vancouver.
I'm gonna say Pittsburgh. They had all the guns firing right as soon as playoff came. I mean, they were killing everyone right up to the playoffs. Everyone was healthy going in the playoffs. They were supposed to pretty much steamroll through the East, and they couldn't even get past Philly.
Next question: Detroit dynasty, is it over? Yes or no?
Depends on what you consider dynasty. I can't see them winning a cup in the next few years, if that's what you mean by that. I think they'll still be a playoff team, but I think they will slowly start to fade away.
No, I don't think they'll fade away. I think they have 16 players signed going into next year, like 43 mil going against the cap. They'll go after guys like Parise, Suter. They'll try to sign those guys and re-up their defense and a centerman. I think they'll still carry that franchise. They just do it right.
Okay, you can't talk about playoff hockey unless you address these suspensions in some way. The guy at the center of all that is Brendan Shanahan. He's in charge of player discipline. Factoring everything in, the suspension to Torres, the non-suspension to Weber, and some other guys, the suspension to a couple other players, has Shanahan been a stud or a dud?
Absolute dud. If he had, right off the bat with Weber started the precedence and then, keep going forward and forward, he wouldn't have had to do the outlandish 25 for Torres because he would have been gradually doing it and people would have stopped before that.
I think he's a stud. I think he set the tone with his Torres. As a result of missing that Weber, I don't think he had any indication that shit was going to get out of hand as much.
But
as
it wasn't
did.
just the Weber
Either
thing.
way,
I mean,
they
it was
could have
slowly
planned
but surely
better for it.
everything was happening.
Regardless, now I think making the 25 games is something that he needed to do. He should have done it at the beginning. I still don't think that making this decision now is a bad thing because there's still 3 rounds of playoffs to go. If it sets a tone and carries into next year, then this is a great move for doing it.
Last one for the this or that. It seems like this is a topic every year. The San Jose Sharks. I would say Thornton wasn't bad this year. He was actually all right. But the question focuses around the team. Do they need to rebuild or reload?
I think reload. They're old enough that they just need to add pieces in. I can't, it's not when you rebuild for them. It's a big drastic drop. I think they just have to throw a couple more weapons in there and just give it at least another year.
I agree with you, Louis. I think it's tough for them to rebuild. It's hard to ship out contracts of 7 million, 6.9, have that at 5. I think it's tough for them to.
I can't
to
name
just blow that team
any
out.
really young good guys in the team
Ryan
besides
Close
Clo,
is-
but he's
Ryan
not that
Close is
young.
a solid player.
Couture's very
Yeah,
good.
Couture's
Couture
young, that's
is
right.
a great players. I think they
Their
just need to
defense is
rebuild,
all
build
old.
some depth. That's
It seems to be a topic every year. The Sharks. It seems like they.
Yeah, because every
are-
year you think they're going to do good, and then every year they take a shit when they're not supposed to.
Yep. Sharks take shits.
Ouch.
It's a good way to end this or that. Off to our wins and fails, and we're gonna do something a little different this week. If you guys don't like it, then you know what? It can be your fail. But for now, we're only gonna list one, and by that I mean we each get to pick a win or a fail. And I'm gonna start my win. It's the Nashville Predators, plain and simple, as an organization, as a franchise. There was an article in the Star about them before they made the playoffs. They were the most efficient team as per points and for salary spent, so they spent the least salary to generate the most points. They knocked off a team we just talked about, Detroit. This team has a legit shot at going to the finals, and I don't want to take away, Lou, what you're going to say, but that's my win, the Nashville Predators. They did it right. They haven't fired their coach. They've never fired their GM. They added pieces at the deadline. A lot of respect to them.
I absolutely agree. I mean, so I just have to say it. I love Nashville. I think they're going to win the cup. So
Okay, Lou, win or fail this week? Which one do you
we're
have?
going to stick on hockey, I guess. My fail's Gary Bettman.
It's a fail?
Yeah,
Okay, you have a
absolutely,
fail.
Gary Bettman. I mean, he should have saw this coming. I know a lot of people are going to say, it's Shanahan's job, this and that. But the reality is that when Turgeon got blindsided by Hunter, right away Bettman was like, "Listen, I'm jumping in here." 21 game suspension or whatever it was at the time. I think that was about right, which was massive at the time. He just stepped in. Bettman loves the violence. He loves the concussions. He loves people watching because this is ratings. He loves watching guys get killed on the ice because the ratings are going through the roof, and that's all he cares about.
I think you're overstepping his boundaries in the job. He is the commissioner. I get that he oversees everything, but if he's going to do Brendan Shanahan's job, why does he have Brendan?
But he's done
Shanahan?
it before. He stepped in before. That's the thing. So he has precedence to do it. I think this time he's like, holy shit. The Stanley Cup playoffs have never been watched like this before. I want nothing to do with
So you think he
intervening
should
here.
step in and take over?
I
Shanahan?
think that if he thought the bloodshed was too much and the injuries, he should have jumped in before, and he clearly didn't. But he's done it in the past for something that wasn't as big a deal.
I don't know. I think Brendan Shanahan in that role is where he is. I mean, still in young guy taking over.
I don't know how
Not
you put a
young
guy
but
with
just-
2,700 career penalty minutes as a guy who judges
because he
if
has
it's a good hit or not.
experience. Because he has
But
experience.
he has experience
in player
of the
experience,
one
and that's
decking the
exactly
guys
what you
in the
put
head.
guys in positions
There's
like
a difference
that.
between is Shanahan good at his job, and should Gary Bettman take over Shanahan's job? I don't think Shanahan's done a good job. I mean, you did, Chapin. Lou, you said he didn't earlier. But for Bettman to take it over, I think
I think it's
don't
been
know.
sloppy. I think it's been sloppy. I still think right now we can't just determine this whole past year if he's just a complete dud and utter failure if things change for the better going forward.
something tells me we could do a whole podcast
Yeah,
on the suspensions
definitely
or
could.
lack thereof. Chapin, win or fail this week? Which
I'm
one is
I'm
it?
split. Some might view it as a win. Some might view it as a
What?
fail.
This is like
yeah.
Lou's answer to the
no, this is better. Actually, no, definitely not better than that. Not sure if
see.
you guys heard, but New York Jets defensive back Antonio Cromartie had his 10th child with an 8th different woman. This
Awesome.
guy is
Absolutely
crazy.
How is that a win in any
Maybe
part?
he's just a pimp. I don't know. He's just
That's
spreading
a
the
win,
seed.
being a pimp?
I don't know. If there's one conclusion, maybe he's a complete
I
idiot.
still can't get past 10 children.
So what you're
through-
saying is he's
Jets
the
do
ODB
not-
of football.
The Jets do not promote contraception. This guy, he signed a $4 million or a 4-year deal at $32 million.
It's a lot of child
it's
support, man.
$3,500 in child support to each wife, and he reportedly asked for a $500,000 advance so that he could start paying
Poor
this
guy.
out. He just had apparently a house that he bought when he started his career foreclosed. This guy's clearly not made good decisions. He signed for like $20 million at the beginning of his career.
It sounds like a show that, like a reality TV show, like The Eight of Us
He's
or whatever it
he's
is.
old dirty bastard.
He will,
That's what he is.
Yeah, you're right. He will have a reality show. That's a good one, though. I think that's one that I
They
would
have
never
requests
thought
for a reality show. That's another
doesn't
spin.
surprise me at all.
The wives want it in there. These wives are just making money.
Cromartie and Co? Like, what's it called?
I don't know. Either way,
of. Just
I
like
think
that,
I think it's a win.
we are just about out of time. Guys, parting shots for Game 7s. Who's going to win? Boston, Washington?
I think Washington's going to win.
I think home teams win. 59%
Rangers, Ottawa.
or so, they win.
Rangers will take that one.
Rangers, I'll take
Lundqvist will
both
carry
home
it.
teams.
Awesome. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. This has been another Radio Faces. This was number 5. We'll catch you guys next week for number 6.